Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Life as a Chad YouTube channel. I thank all of you for being here wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. This is going to be just a very general 4th of July video. I want to, off the cuff, kind of give my thoughts on America, what it means to me, and just kind of riff, so to speak. So, number one, I, like many of you, especially if you're subscribed to this channel, love the United States of America. And to the Republic, no, I'm kidding. And in a lot of ways, I think, especially in the last 5 to 8 years, I do think that we have seen a resurgence in patriotism, in this kind of national pride, which is awesome to see. By the way, guys, I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you guys are having a great 4th of July. I'm recording this in the morrow. Hope you guys are having a great day. Don't do anything stupid. Don't be a dumb fuck and do something ridiculous. It's not worth it. The biggest thing on the 4th of July, and it's somewhat understandable. I don't know how many of you guys deal with this, but the biggest thing is obviously people like lighting fireworks. I haven't done that for a long time. It never really piqued my interest to light shit up and have it, be set on fire and explode ever so slightly. For the most part, you're not really able to get anything of real substance because, of course, most states it's illegal. And a lot of these fireworks, especially nowadays, are such crap. They barely work half the time. They fizzle out. They last for 10 seconds max. But anyways, if you like to do it, more power to you. I don't really give a fuck. But for me, it's never really been something that piqued my interest. I remember when I was a little guy with my younger brother, of course, we would light the sparklers and spend time around loved ones and that was always fun. I've always liked the summer heat. It's always felt warm to me, and especially growing up as a kid, those are some of the most fond memories I have, especially in high school, is being, having the summer months, playing sports, doing whatever the fuck we want, wreaking havoc, fucking hanging out with chicks, staying out late at night, and just kind of having fun. Now, obviously, to a certain extent, I wish I had been more focused back then. I think I was still in a lot of ways more focused than most, but one of the aspects of being a jock and stuff like that, I guess, for lack of a better term, is spending time goofing around with things that really you think in the moment are important, but they're not. I wish I'd spent more time focusing on my craft as an athlete and things like that, even more than what I already did. But with that said, again, when and I'm still a young guy, when I look at my life, the times that I reminisce on the most is definitely when I was younger. And I think this is the case for a lot of people, but specifically being in high school, having those wonderful summer nights, getting everything set up for the day, Sometimes you'd be getting it set up the previous day for the following day, chicks you're going to hang out with, whatever, you know, get together you're going to go to, practice. If you have it, you go to practice. And it was just really fun. And then, of course, 4th of July, I always spent time at buddies' houses and stuff like that because I think, in my experience, the 4th of July, the people who have the best functions are, of course, people who do like to have fun and, don't mind kicking back a bear or two or, getting lit up. And my dad was never much of a drinker. So on the 4th of July, that day really didn't make much of a difference to him. It's funny, I suppose in a lot of ways, that's how I am now as an adult too. But so now that that's said, and as I said, I hope you guys are being safe and having a good day and really focusing on what matters the most, which is time with family. That is what matters the most. But, America really is in an interesting time, an interesting point in history. For the most part, within any society, most people are what I call NPCs. The colloquialism that is found on the internet. I was not the person who came up with that term, but I think it's a wonderful, superb term. And because I think it really encapsulates people who are mainstream, kind of the status quo, the masses that kind of go with the flow with whatever is kind of set in stone. And with that in mind, even still, there is a tremendous culture war that is going on in America. If you think about America specifically and how long it's been around, it kind of makes sense that we are at that turning point where there was the beginning, and that went well for a while. But as things do, they change, and some people get upset, they get disenfranchised, or they think that a different system is better. They think the grass is greener. They're not grateful, whatever the case may be. And new things come down the pipeline. And I think I would say and then of course you have national or global things like World War I, World War II. America from 1900 to now, let's count up the wars. And I'm just going to go off the dome here. If you ask the average female on the street, she'd be lucky to name one. But, you have World War I. I think after that, or before that, the last war that America was in would have been either the Civil War or maybe the Mexican-American War. I think it would be the Mexican-American War if I had to guess. But you had World War I, World War II, Korea, the Korean War, where we fought to assist South Korea from becoming communist. And then, of course, you have Vietnam. Then you have the Cold War, which obviously, if you're red-pilled on this at all, was not very cold. But it was a new type of warfare that was done where it was kind of behind the shadows, out of the limelight, out of people's minds, if you will, out of sight, out of mind. But of course, it was not very out of sight, very out of mind at all, because it was very, there was a ton of coverage on it. Even to this day, like if I watch the show, The Americans, and see the type of focus and thought and attention that the Cold War was given and how people responded, it's crazy, especially, several 20, 30, whatever it is now, years removed. It seems like not that big of a deal because nothing really happened per se. But in all honesty, the Cold War led to the dissolution of the Soviet Russia. So you have that. Now, Soviet Russia was on the decline regardless, but nonetheless. You have war with Iraq that lasted from the 80s to the 2000s, basically. It's still even really going on to this day. Now it's a much more soft war, but it's still in a lot of ways going on today. Now, I believe there was kind of like a give and take on that in that war at certain points in the timeline. There was much more of a focus and attention that was put on it from the government. You have the first George Bush and then Bill Clinton, and then of course George Bush 2 gets in there. You have the Twin Towers fall, and then and even before that, they were concerned about quote unquote WMDs, and then you have the Twin Towers situation. Then it gets revitalized, revamped, but especially the last 20 to 30 years, the Middle East has been a massive battleground for a variety of reasons. Number one being America's number one ally being who they are. And number two, the resources that the Middle East has. So, and then I think we even under Bill Clinton, there was the war with one of the nations in Africa. There was a dictator that was there, Cambodia, I think it was. And not just that, I think even again in the 1990s, so Black Hawk Down, that movie was about the Cambodia or one of the African countries. And then there's the one with Owen Wilson where he gets shot down. I'm blanking on what that movie's called. Let me see if I can find it. It was Behind Enemy Lines. I think, I don't know if this is an accurate was Behind the Enemy Lines based on a true story. Let's see. No, Behind the Lines was not based on a true story. So however, it does draw inspiration from real life circumstances and the experience of military men. The movie is not grounded in historical events, but is rather an imagination of the filmmakers. It incorporates elements from the lives of military personnel who were shot down behind enemy lines, but most of them are fictionalized for dramatic event. So I mentioned all of this, and let's see, maybe I can pull up the list of wars America has been in. So look at this, guys. 78 victories. I wonder who tallies up the victories. So let me see how spot on I was. I think I was pretty fucking spot on, guys. Okay, Cherokee American Wars. Okay, I forgot about that one. Choctaw, 1776 to 1795. And of course, that makes sense. That was, I mean, there were still tribes in America, and America had basically coexisted, and they didn't really look at Native Americans as much of a threat. But as soon as America was able to gain their independence, of course, their nation started to grow, and they started to really put more into the land, the country, and make it bigger, better, whatever the case may be. Expound upon the idea that was the colonies. And then, of course, that happened. You have, Northwest Indian War. So I'm sure probably there's going to be a shit ton of American wars. American Algerian War. Huh. I was not aware of this one. The Algerian American War was a state of conflict which existed between the Regency of Algiers in the United States that lasted from 1785 to 1795. Who the fuck are these guys? Was a largely independent, early modern Ottoman tributary state on the Barbary coast of North Africa between 1516 and 1830. All right. And this is where they say they were. So it's right next to the Sahara. Huh. That's the first time I've ever heard of that. The Regency was infamous and formidable pirate base that plundered and waged maritime holy war on European Christian powers. Okay, that makes sense. Because, of course, that happened against England as well. And England had one of the best uh, naval forces ever seen for a long time. So France was up there too. Anytime I think about England's naval power, I think of two movies: Master and Commander with Russell Crowe, and then I think of Pirates in the Caribbean, because it kind of shows that time period in which England was, from sea to shining sea. England, what's the saying? From sea to shining sea, the England Empire covers the. All right. And then we have the Quasi War, French Republic. Okay. Cessation of Franco-American alliance. Then we have, fuck it, we're not going to look at the 19th century. Let's just look at, you have the Seminole Wars. I'm a Seminole Indian. At least I've been told. First Seminole War, Eureka War. So America was involved with a shit ton of conflicts with Native Americans. Mexican American War, I was right about that, 1846 to 1848. So it is definitely after the Civil War. Black Hawk War, and then Creek War, whatever the fuck that is. United States, Lower Creeks, Cherokee Nation, Choctaw, and then War of 1812. Where is the Civil War at? Maybe the Civil War was after. I thought it was before. Bleeding Kansas. Opium War. Damn. Let's look at this. Yeah, here it is. American Civil War, 1861 to 65. So I was wrong about that. I think the Mexican American War was slightly before that. Navajo Wars, Apache Wars. Yeah, it was 1846. So it was like 20, 30 years before. But let's go to the 1900s, though. Let's go to the 1900s. We're not going to stay too much on this. 20th century Mexican border war, occupation of Nicaragua, Bluff War, Veracruz, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and you can really see America starting to nation build and assert its dominance and power globally rather than staying regional, kind of national. I think from reviewing this, kind of the two, I know it said in the one of the early wars that we just saw was America fighting against the Ottoman Empire, but that I would have to look into that more. It seems like the nation building really started with the first Korea conflict. And according to Wikipedia, it says that the victor was inconclusive because America had to withdraw. But you have World War One, 1914 to 1918, U.S. Allied victory. You have the Russian Civil War, which America did lend support to Russia slightly, ever so slightly, in their fight against the Bolsheviks. Um, the October Revolution, led by the Bolshevik Party of Vladimir Lenin, the Communist massacre of the Russian royal family, fall of the Russian Empire, establishment of the Soviet Union. By the way, guys, I do highly encourage you guys to review that conflict, because I think in a lot of ways, America is going through a similar situation as Russia. Now, obviously, America is not a monarchy, but just kind of the nation being here, it kind of goes down, and people wanting change. Um, but I guess in a lot of ways, any revolution, that's going to be the case. Um, but I see a lot of similarities, and I've talked about it in my car ride rants, between these two, between Russia and America, what America is going through now. You have, so that was 1917 to 1923, which of course coincided with World War One, because Russia gave support to America. Okay. Uh, but honestly, Russia was not doing the best. And of course, internally, there was a ton of conflict with the monarchy and the czar that was in place. He was fucking sucking. His wife was fucking and sucking, or allegedly, and it just was not going well. But, look at this. Yeah, like I said, and then Germany was really, Russia was fighting Germany, and they were not doing well. And Russia, up until that point, the status quo for a czar was to have a great military victory, and that is what he was looking for and didn't find it. But I would highly encourage you look at videos. There's quite a few good videos on this that detail how the Communist Party came into power, and it's very interesting. World War II, Korean War, so I was right about that. Vietnam War, Laotian Civil War, I didn't have that one. Fuck, that lasted for a long time. Fucking 1959 to 75. Holy shit. Fuck. And then that was smelling like Indonesia. That's a Dr. Dre song. Got me smelling like Indonesia. And then we have Lebanon Crisis, Bay of Pigs. But I would not consider that war. Like, to me, war is like full-blown conflict and full-scale conflict, not one-off kind of behind the scenes military operations. To me, it's a string of military operations between uh one side versus the other. Now, one side can have multiple uh, participants, and once a different side can have multiple participants. You have the Dominican Civil War. I did not count that one. Cambodian, I was right about that. 1967 to 75. But I think I was misremembering Cambodia. And the nation that under Bill Clinton, go for it. That's what it was. Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. It was Kuwait. Bosnian War and Croatian War, Haiti, Kosovo War. I think the Kosovo War is what Behind Enemy Lines is based on. And then 21st century, you have Afghanistan. It's very interesting because Somali is, oh no, it's Somali. It's Somalia. That is the war that was during Bill Clinton. That was Bill Clinton's Somalia. But again, I was right. Iraq, that started under the first George Bush, and then of course we've been in the Middle East for fucking ever. Iraq War 2003 to 2011. I would say in a lot of ways it's still going on. Um Somali Civil War again, Ocean Shield, Libya, Niger, Iraq 2014, 2021. So anyways, you guys get the point. So, America has really been involved in all of these conflicts, and I think it really has taken its toll. And you're really seeing, I'm sorry, guys. I did not expect to go on that much of a tangent. I thought I'd be able to find the information a lot faster, but it was still interesting to see. And when I was reading that, it did make me think about how important. Now, I used to be much more of a like back the blue, back military type of, conservative. I am not that way now. I still do have respect for those who have served and died for this country more than most, but I would not go. I would not go and give my life for the current regime that's in power, and the current system that's in place. And I think you would be foolish to do the same, because the values that America puts forth is currently, especially in the military, is not what it once was. But it really did make it so. While that's what that is, it did make me think about how many people's lives have been, especially men's lives, have been given to this nation. How many countless men have given their life to build, sustain, and make and improve this nation. I mean, honestly, it is incredible. So, but you look at all these conflicts, especially in the last, I would say since 1980, the fuck, you could go even further back since the 1900s, the conflicts that America has been in, and it really is taking its toll. And if you condense it even more, the last 20 to 40 years, a lot of people's eyes are opening up. And people are really starting to question the status quo. People are really starting to question, do I really want my son serving for this shit, for these values, for this nonsense, for them to, promote LGBTQT plus and, this feminist bullshit? Do I really want them to go and serve? Um, and not just that, even on the left, the left is coming in and saying, do I really want to support this corporatist, capitalistic structure in society? So you really are starting to have a convergence of strong political thought. And that to me is the similarity to Russia. Russia, a lot of people, and I wasn't aware of this until I looked into it, but Russia, I guarantee a lot of people think that the Bolsheviks were like the only group that was pushing against the establishment, which was the monarchy at the time. But no, there were multiple communist parties at the time. And much like today, you have center left, kind of classic liberals, and then you have the more extreme left, like a Bernie Sanders, socialist populist. On the right, you have neocons and paleoconservatives. You have more nationalistic conservatives and more economical conservatives. You have more social conservatives and, again, more economical conservatives. And in Russia, the same thing. They had multiple. Now, it was in particular the Communist Party, but they had the Communist Party, or the communist factions that were fighting one another for power. Then you had people within the government that believed in the monarchy, but still thought that it needed to be changed slightly. They were still loyal, essentially, to the monarchy and the establishment. They certainly did not want the communist people to be in charge, but they also knew that things needed to change within the monarchy. And you saw that conflict come to pass. And now World War I was kind of this perfect catalyst to provide a wide enough berth for these types of ideas to really push through the ethosphere. So in America, just to kind of bring this back home, guys, I really do think that we are, and I've done countless videos on this, mostly car ride rants, that we really are coming to a head regarding the direction of this nation. And uh, is America going to completely go secular? Or are we going to have a revitalization of Christianity? Is America going to continue down this path of feminism and interchangeable widget type ideology where a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man? Hell, we may as well not even have those terms because you can just be a it type of thing. Or are we going to go back to more traditional roles, the propping up of the church, and traditional lifestyles and homesteading and whatever the fuck? You really are seeing all of this kind of push through. And much like in the early 1900s, how World War I was this massive catalyst to provide the birth for America. What that is social media, is the internet, is technology, because it is speeding up information. And no matter how much the left and hell, it even happens on the right, I hate to say, the establishment, no matter how much they try to suppress and censor ideas that they don't like, that directly is in opposition to their power from their viewpoint, you still see ideas pushing through and prevailing. And it's very interesting. It really is. Now, I also think that the downside to the kind of internet social media thing is that on one hand, we have a speeding up and a widened amount of access to information than ever before. We also see people misutilizing the technology and becoming dumber. Their attention is gone. They don't go as in depth on things, and they're not as cogent on topics, and there's not as much depth to people because they're constantly looking at their phones and shit like that. But by and large, it really has, this is the information age. It really has provided an opening for information to push through and for people to see certain realities much quicker and much clearer than ever before. In previous generations, it would take forever for that sort of information, for certain ideas, for certain thoughts and news and realities to push through, because at most all you had was the newspaper, in which one or two fucking major publications utilized. Now we have full-blown legitimate guerrilla journalism, or there's another term for, it's the movie that Johnny Depp is in, where he's playing a writer, where he's right in the thick of things, and he's right involved in the news. I forget what the term is, but you have journalism in which, kind of this citizen journalism, if you will, in which somebody can just turn their camera on and record it and post it on Facebook, and it gets fucking millions of views, or post it on YouTube or Twitter or fucking Instagram, and it gets millions of views, and it gets reposted over and over and over again. It's crazy. So On this July 4th, just to kind of wrap this up in a nice, beautiful red, white, and blue bow, the future is interesting to say the least. I cannot wait to see how things unfold. I love talking about it with you guys, and I love analyzing it and assessing it and providing my viewpoint. I love hearing what you guys have to say on this. I do think that we are headed for revolution. I do believe that not, and I've done videos on this. I don't think we're headed for civil war. I don't think that, but I do think that we are headed for mass change and a mass overhauling of the current system and values and status quo that is currently in place. I also think that it's possible that before we get there, and this is much more possible, unlike what Tim Pool says, than a civil war, is that in order to get there, America needs to collapse and continue to slide downhill. Now, personally, I don't want it to get to that place because it doesn't have to. You know, we have plenty of smart and intelligent, creative individuals to keep this beautiful nation on an uphill trajectory. But, well, not keep it on an uphill trajectory, but get it back on, because we're not on an uphill trajectory at the moment, but get it, it's not too late to get it back on the tracks and moving in the right direction. It's kind of, we were kind of going like this, but the last 100 years, it's kind of been like super slowly going down. And with Trump, it hasn't gone back up. It's kind of slowed it and thrown a wrench in the fucking wheels. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the whole Trump situation. Does he win? If he wins, does he hold true to some of the 2016 promises, or does he turn out to be more of a establishment individual like so many people have done, especially on the right wing? But either way, we need to take advantage, because at the end of the day, guys, as citizens, we need to look out for ourselves and put forth ideas and policies that are the best for us, for the average person, for the average citizen, for the middle class, you know, mom and dad that are trying to raise, you know, 3 or 4 kids, and you know, shit is just way too expensive, and you know, America is depopulating rapidly. That is what we need to do. The elites don't care about us, but if we put enough pressure and open enough people's eyes to the fact that they don't give a fuck, then we can really start to help ourselves out and get things to a place that benefits us. Because at government's core, or at a nation's core, it's this constant swaying of a system that benefits mostly the elites, or a system that still benefits the elites, but maybe not as much as it normally would, and that beneficial aspect is given more so to the citizens, to the people. We're headed towards a system that only benefits the elites, and we need to get away from that. We need to get things back on track. So anyways, guys, happy 4th of July. I went off the cuff, off the dome. Thank you to those who have served. And if you know somebody who has fallen or served, whatever the case may be, thank them. It goes a long ways. Even though, like I said, I obviously would not serve in the military to support the current system that's in place. Anytime I see somebody with a veteran's hat, I make sure to thank them and acknowledge them and the sacrifice that they made. Those types of things go a long way, and you would be surprised how uplifting it is for, especially if it's an older person, how much it uplifts their spirit and humanity. I'll give you guys an example real quick before I sign off. The other day, I went to the store after going to the gym, and this old man was in front of me. And this just kind of shows you the current fucked up society that we have. But the old man was he was just leaving the self checkout, and I was right behind him, and he left like $40 in the cash thing. And I said, "Sir, sir," and I alerted him to him leaving the cash. And the people around me were so stunned at the act of service, at the kind gesture that I showed this old man who didn't know any better, who's probably going senile and losing his memory by the second. I'm not trying to joke, I'm being serious. I hate to say it, but that probably was the case. But God bless his heart. And I get in my car and I think to myself, my God. And the woman next to me goes, "You know how many people these days would have taken that money?" And I said, "Yeah, you're probably right. But I am not one of them." And I get in my car and it really made me think about kind of where we are at with things, where people we don't live in a society where by and large people believe in acts of service and acts of kindness and morality and goodness. And we need to get back to that. That is what America is about. Any strong nation is built upon those kind of timeless values, those Christian values. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to smash that subscribe button, like, comment, share. You guys know the drill. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow and fox your feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you, King. See you guys next time. Christ is King. Peace.